Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott, the president of Franchise Interviews, and I can't start today's show without talking about the ISO 10002. You know, some people just love to complain, but companies have a responsibility to care. The International Organization for Standardization, ISO, has revised ISO 10002, the standard for complaint handling. This document enables organizations to foster a customer-focused environment open to feedback, heightening their customer satisfaction. You can get the ISO 10002 standard from the American National Standards Institute, ANSI, the U.S. member body of ISO. Visit ANSI.org/complain to learn more. That's ANSI.org/complain to learn more.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews. We're for over 14 years now. We've been asking the entrepreneurs of all one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. Well, we're meeting with Lee Braun, the CEO and co-founder of Perspire Sauna Studio. The hottest new franchise is here, literally 150 degrees. Perspire has developed, formulated, and tested the most superior infrared sauna studio model and is the first national brand to bring this transformational health and wellness service to the masses. We're going to talk to Lee about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we have a great show.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, LLC, and you're listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 14 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs of all one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. Well, we're meeting with Lee Braun, the CEO and co-founder of Perspire Sauna Studio. The hottest new franchise is here, literally 150 degrees. Perspire has developed, formulated, and tested the most superior infrared sauna studio model and is the first national brand to bring this transformational health and wellness service to the masses. Hi, Lee. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Marty. Good morning.
It's great to have you on the show. We'll like to ask where you're calling from today, Lee.
Calling in from my office in Newport Beach, California.
Okay, I know it's a little bit earlier there, so maybe you're drinking coffee or something.
Yeah, I'm having some coffee for sure.
That's good. This is, I have to ask you before I even start my interview with you, Lee, what does 150 degrees feel like?
So it sounds a lot more intimidating than it is. Infrared is great because it really warms your core temp slowly and mildly. So it really builds, and you're able to stay in for that full 40 minutes. I like to compare it to like a warm summer day, but without the UV. So it's really relaxing. It's not overwhelming or stifling like a regular sauna. Mm-hmm.
Sure, yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, when I heard about the concept, I said, "Oh my God, I have to have you on the show." And I know, there's a whole history to Perspire Sauna Studio, Lee. I know, of course, it wasn't created overnight. Maybe you can kind of like go back to the beginning and talk about how the whole concept came about.
We started 10 years ago in Costa Mesa, California, so right near our office here, and started with a tiny 1,000 square foot studio. Yeah. And, I was at the time 24 and a first time business owner, and came on board to really help with the operations. It wasn't an overnight success. We started with really creating and educating, creating this market and educating people on what infrared was and why they should do it. And it wasn't just like flipping a switch. We had the initial goal of, okay, if we just get 20 people in a day, that's success to us. Right. And flash forward 10 years, that same studio is doing over 100 sessions a day now. Wow. And we finally got our marketing right and, figured out our brand and our message. And so we've come a long way for sure.
I think that's a great story, Lee. It was interesting because, I was talking last week with kind of like it was like a franchise broker, franchise expert or consultant, and we were talking about, how sometimes, and I've had some concepts on the show over the last 14 years where some of them franchise too quickly. You know what I mean? They came up with a business and they said, okay, let's franchise, and you guys didn't do that at all. I mean, you really took your time to say, okay, we want to get this thing 100% correct. And once you did, I get it, then you started franchising the model. And I was reading too that, I mean, there's a lot of benefits to your service. I was reading like things like, I guess you can, detox your body, from the inside out. There's an increase in blood flow. And I guess we'll even get to it at some point too. But even with COVID, I imagine, there's like an increase in your immunity system. Maybe you could talk about some of those benefits of your service.
So infrared is great because, like I mentioned, it warms your core temp. So it's warming your core temp 2 or 3 degrees. You talked about immunity and kind of in this COVID lens. What does fever do? Fever is warming your body 2 or 3 degrees to ward off disease, infection, all that. So we're putting people in a false fever safely in order to ward off disease, prevent illness, recover. It's great for your skin because circulation is so good for your skin. So there's vanity reasons on top of really, really great health reasons. And, increasing your core temp increases metabolic rate. Right. You burn extra calories. So there's fitness in there as well, some passive fitness happening. So there's just really so much that all happens in this 158-degree, 40-minute session. And I'll add that you get to watch Netflix or listen to music or listen to your Calm app because we have TVs set out right outside the sauna with the sound inside the sauna cabin. So it's actually a very entertaining and relaxing experience.
Is there such thing as like a typical customer, Lee, that you noticed to Perspire Sauna Studio? Like right now, I'm sure it'll change over the course of time, but who are those customers now?
I mean, our customer base is so diverse because we have people from, 20 years old to 80 years old. We have people that have chronic illness or chronic pain or, some really heavy issues that they're dealing with. Lyme disease can be pretty severe. It can be mild, but it can be very severe too. And infrared is one of the main treatments for Lyme disease. It's one of the only ways to help detox from Lyme disease. Post chemotherapy, you need to get all of that out of your system. So people come in post chemotherapy. So we have that end of things, sure. But and then kind of on the other end of just people needing to, escape from their kids or their husband or their wife for 40
I know
minutes,
that story.
Right? Just a relaxing escape. I mean, it totally is an escape. It's a very cathartic, resetting feeling after doing the sauna.
That's wonderful. And, I was thinking of your industry, too, Lee. I was saying, what industry are you even part of? I guess, it's part of, health and wellness. And how big is your industry, and I imagine there's a lot of growth in it as well.
Yeah, wellness is growing very fast, double digits fast compared to all other industries. And we have, I think the last estimate I saw might have been an old number, but $128 billion for the wellness industry.
Yeah.
So massage, acupuncture, things that are, geared towards your health that aren't strictly fitness, kind of that subset of wellness. Mm-hmm.
That's great. How about technology? I mean, how does the model Perspire Sauna Studio use technology, or how is it incorporated into the franchise, Lee?
Yeah, so I would point to our infrared sauna, which takes a very, very old technology where we use sauna caves or sauna cabins to warm the core temp. I mean, this is 7,000, 8,000 years old technology, and we really modernized it with this infrared light, which just is a cleaner, safer, and more beneficial version of saunas. So we've just really taken that really, really old technology of sauna and modernized it.
That's wonderful. What's been, and I'm sure you have 100 stories, Lee, if you and I were having a cup of coffee, just talking about, but what's one of the most interesting things that's happened to you, since launching Perspire Sauna Studio? As I mentioned, I'm sure you have hundreds of stories, but does anything kind of stand out? You say, wow.
I mean, I don't think that anything is as wild as everything we went through in 2020. I mean, just the nation as a whole, but also, I mean, that kind of trumps everything, right? So Perspire had to shut down, like many businesses. We had to shut down for a couple months, navigating all of those challenges, and just being able to be on this side of those closures, and all of our studios being able to be open right now. I'm just very, very grateful to have kind of weathered that, and really also been there for our guests and members to be a place of sanctuary and relaxation during this really hectic, crazy time, which we're not out of by any means. But I'm very grateful to be at this stage for sure.
Yeah, I think there is certainly a light at the end of the tunnel, Lee, and it's interesting. I always said that because it's been such a common theme, doing the show in 2020, as COVID seemed to always come up. But I guess it's nice also to have that support system. You know what I mean? Is that really what Perspire Sauna Studio is also? I mean, it's a family as well to some extent. You know what I mean? Is you have that support system, don't you?
Exactly. One of the things that came right in the middle of March, in the thick of the uncertainty and learning what the COVID was, how it was impacting everything. Decisions right away. We're going to get on a call with our franchisees every day at noon. It's a hotline, and the whole corporate team's on it. Every franchisee that wants to dial in can get on it. We'll talk navigating financial things. We'll talk real estate. We'll talk about all of those, crazy, stressful things. But it was all, half of it was just catching up. Hi, how you doing?
Of course.
Seeing your face and just being a support system. And we did the same thing for our corporate team. 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. every day, we were on a Zoom call. Hey, how are you? And it, could have seemed like overkill, but we didn't stop doing it for. That's great. We're still kind of emulating that model in some ways. Just over communicating and just being super connected. I'm very proud of how we navigated all that craziness, and even some of the lessons and the communication styles we've actually taken with us into today, and we still kind of emulate that.
That's wonderful. And speaking of franchising, Lee, I know you get to meet with a lot of your prospective franchisees. When you're meeting with a prospective franchisee, what types of characteristics or traits do you look for, Lee, that you think would help make them a successful Perspire Sauna Studio franchisee?
All of our franchisees are incredibly smart, hardworking, and motivated people.
Yeah.
But I think the very unique thing that you need to be a Perspire franchisee is you have to be passionate to help others. I think that is a non-starter. So servant leadership is just extremely important and extremely important to Perspire. So that's a guiding principle for us, and everyone can show what good leadership is by serving others. So that's one of our
so important.
One of our requirements.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. How about the training, Lee? I know training has changed for every franchise that I've had on the show in 2020. Like pre-COVID. But what was the training like before, or what will it go back to, and what's it like now for your new franchisees? Yeah.
So throughout 2020, we were actually able to double in size. So we started out the year with 6 studios, and we'll have 15 this month in January 2021. So we did open quite a few studios for us last year, and the training went to heavy Zoom, right? Like the rest of the world. So a lot of Zoom calls. We had we have 12 weeks of Zoom calls on a once a week basis. Right. But then we also generally, it didn't work out this way that often in 2021, but generally you would come out for 4 or 5 days to our corporate office, and we would show you the in-studio training and all the details that come with running a studio. Right. And then we go out there for opening your doors, just to make sure your team is trained. We're leading a little bit of training, quizzing, testing, making sure that everything is 100% buttoned up, and then you open your doors. So that's the training program. And then we do training doesn't really stop there. Oh, sorry. Right. Training doesn't really stop there, because we've got weekly call. You've got a weekly call for a year before you're really flying. Yeah. And that's so important, is that continuous training, as the business evolves, and I guess the sharing of best practices too, Lee, I guess you get that too, is from your franchisees. Sometimes you pick up an idea here and there, which is also a benefit of franchising, isn't it? Oh yeah, we just had our monthly call yesterday with our whole franchise group, and there's just great idea sharing, and we troubleshoot issues. It's a great way to come together and organize our thoughts and just improve the system. So franchising is great like that. Yeah, that's terrific. Is there such a thing as like a typical day for a Perspire Sauna Studio franchisee, Lee? I mean, how would you describe it, from the opening to closing? Yeah, so this one would kind of vary pretty widely, because we have franchisees that work in their business every day, and they're there every day. We also have franchisees that don't really even live in the same state as their Perspire location. So, and then kind of everything in between. But to answer your question more, I think generally the day is, I would say, best spent with a little bit of in-studio time, but really the franchisee is working to make sure that their team is given everything that they need to succeed. So do they have up-to-date training? Has the franchisee laid out the kind of any training topics that need to be recoached individually or as a group, as a team? And then the franchisee spends most of their time on the marketing opportunities in their local market, finding the best ways to market their business and get awareness out. So I'd say team and marketing are really the big time spends. Yeah, that's great. I studying your background, Lee, and you have all the characteristics and traits of an entrepreneur. From everything you've learned up to this point, what advice would you give to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise? We call them aspiring franchipreneurs. Most of them
or new to franchising, and there's so much out there today. It's like a lot of them are overwhelmed in the beginning. So, oh my God, where do I begin? From everything you've learned up to this point, what advice would you give to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise?
My advice would be you have to pick something that you're passionate about. I think that it's just a better life. If you have something that you're easily motivated by. I'm very easily motivated by Perspire. The franchisees, I mean, I love our franchisees. I love my corporate team that I get to work with on a daily basis. And the members and guests that come in to experience Perspire and feel better. I mean, it makes it very easy to go to work. So I would encourage people to find something that excites them. And you don't know what you're going to be passionate about when you're trying to find a franchise business, right? Like
That's true.
I don't know if I'm going to be passionate about this in 5 years, but I would start with what interests you heavily and what you think you could get passionate about. Yeah.
No, I think that's great advice. I think it's so important. So if you can look into a crystal ball, like maybe 3 years, 5 years down the road, I mean, where do you see Perspire Sauna Studio in the future?
I see us getting to a 1,000-unit brand. Moving to markets outside the U.S. We've already had some initial interest, which is very exciting. I think it would do really well. I think, when you think of U.S. sauna culture versus like Europe's or, Asia's sauna culture, I mean, it's almost, it's in a way you could almost say it's easier to market in those countries and continents. But definitely on our roadmap. Also, just in the immediate term, we doubled last year, and our goal this year is to double again from 15 studios to 30 studios by the end of this year.
That's great.
And we're entering into a couple new markets: Los Angeles, Charlotte, Nashville, Boise, Milwaukee. And we're going to continue expanding into Austin, Texas, Orange County, California, and Orlando, Florida. So those are
I think that makes sense. Yeah, because when I was unfamiliar with the concept a couple of weeks ago, you know what I mean? But then when I heard about it, I said, oh my God! I said, and I've interviewed a lot of franchises over the last 14 years. I think it was like 750 interviews, and I said, wow! I said, this is a really clever concept, and I think that's going to be part of the success, as people become familiar with Perspire Sauna Studio from a customer perspective and then an entrepreneurial perspective. I can see the business growing, to certainly 1,000 units. So I think that's really exciting. What's the best way, Lee, for our listeners to get more information on Perspire Sauna Studio from a franchise point of view or even a customer perspective? Are there any websites that you might be able to direct them to get more information?
Yeah, absolutely, Marty. We have perspiresaunastudio.com is our website, and you can get to the franchising site from that location. And then our Instagram handle is @Perspire Sauna Studio as well, if you want to check us out on Instagram.
That's fantastic. Well, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed talking to you today, Lee, and I'd really like to invite you back as you continue to grow, because I think this is a wonderful franchise opportunity.
Oh, thank you so much, Marty. I appreciate your time.
This has been my pleasure, Lee. And we'll be right back with more franchise interviews. Coming up on segment 2, you're going to hear what every franchipreneur needs to know before buying a franchise. We're going to play a clip from our popular Great Quotes in Franchising podcast right here on Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 8 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Today's Great Quote in Franchising is being brought to you by
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott, the president of Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, we've been hosting Franchise Interviews many years now, and during that time, we've had some incredible quotes on our show. Today's Great Quote in Franchising podcast comes from Mary Jane Riva, the CEO of Pizza Factory. And Mary Jane gave some great advice. You know, one of the questions we frequently ask on the show when we have someone like Mary Jane is, what advice would you give to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise? And she said that you should look under the hood. And, you know, I thought her advice was very original, but you have to listen to the podcast to find out why. So here we go with Mary Jane Riva, CEO of Pizza Factory. Franchise. You know, we've been doing this show such a long time now, and one of the biggest things we've learned is that, you know, a lot of our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise, they don't know where to begin because, like you were saying earlier, there's so much out there today. You know, I mean, there's just so much to choose from. Most of them don't even know where to begin. It just becomes overwhelming.
Yep.
You know, from everything you've learned, you know, up to this point, what advice would you give to our listeners?
Well, there's a couple things, and one that as we're going through this journey ourselves from being a franchisee to the franchisor. It's understanding the roles of the franchisor versus the franchisee. That's a really big important, really what is the role that you're playing versus the franchisor. And then when you're looking at brands, the other thing for brands to me is really looking under the hood. Don't just look at all the stuff on the surface. Really dig down. See what extra charges there. Are they marking up stuff? Really evaluate a brand to a brand and not just the fluff kind of stuff that you see on the top. And it's a lot of due diligence. Right. But ask the questions that are going to be once you're in there. Are they marking up the food product? Are they marking up advertising materials? What are you paying? So really dig down and ask a lot more questions. And I would talk to a lot of franchisees that are in the system and see how they feel about the franchisor and the brand itself. I would do a lot of due diligence with franchisees because they're the ones that are going to tell you.
Right, absolutely. I love how you said look under the hood. As I've mentioned, doing the show such a long time, I've never heard that analogy before. I think that's very clever, to look under the hood, to go deep, inside and look what's under, not just what's on top. We have this great quote in franchising. I'm going to put that one in there because I think that's fantastic. It makes a lot of sense. And, Pizza Factory, you have a lot of franchisees that you can call, right? I think you're up to, is it over 100 franchisees now, Mary Jane? So there's plenty of people,
We've got some that have,
oh, good.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say we have them. They've been in the system for 30 years. We have franchisees, that have been in that long, and we have them that are just getting on. So there's a wide range. So, and you want to hit all those. You want to hit the newbies. You want to hit the older ones. You want to get their feel of what's been going on and how they've been treated. And but there's a lot of people to call. There's a lot of people to ask. There's a lot of different town sizes. So when you're doing your due diligence, really get out there and dig deep.
If you'd like to hear that whole interview with Pizza Factory, all you have to do is go to franchiseinterviews.com, go to our franchise interviews by category page, and click on food franchises, and you can hear the whole interview there. And lastly, we'd just like to thank everyone for making this podcast such a huge success. It's hard to imagine when we started this show that our Great Quotes and Franchising podcast was going to become just as big as our regular show. So we want to thank everyone again and continue to listen to our Great Quotes and Franchising podcast, sponsored by Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.